Welcome to this presentation of how to use the Oncology Drug Pathway Analyzer in select mode. Being in select mode means that you know the particular pathway you are interested in, and then you would actually use one of these three sources of pathway information, either by CARDA, KEGG, or NetPath. So let us start out by selecting, for example, the mTOR signaling pathway in cancer, and press search. Now we have gotten results back, and in the initial result table we can see that we're using the source of KEGG and the pathway is mTOR signaling pathway, and we have found a total of 124 originator companies of drugs, which in total have 245 drugs, which of 175 are in active development, 51 are ceased. The 245 drugs are centered around 22 different kinds of drug targets. Now we can visualize these 22 drug targets in the mTOR signaling pathway by simply clicking the KEGG source. In front of us, we now have the mTOR signaling pathway with the plasma membrane and the downstream signaling pathway in front of you. Now, each of the components in the pathways which are currently being targeted by any kind of cancer drugs are then showing up in red. Now, you can go back to the analyzer board again and use any of these 12 different kinds of filters to narrow the presentation and inclusion of drugs in your particular search. For example, you can limit this view into only be demonstrating breast cancer drugs. And you can furthermore limit it to only be showing those which is in phase 3 clinical development. Now we can repeat the search again, and we have a look and see what we have found. Now, if we look at the mTOR signaling pathway limited to breast cancer drugs which are in phase 3 development, we found that there are 2 companies with 2 drugs and none of them are ceased. They are in total having a combination of 5 different kind of targets. If we click on the KEGG source again, we will actually have a demonstration of where these 5 particular targets are located. Now let us redo the search again with all mTOR targeting drugs without any limitations to indication or developmental stage. Again, we have our 245 drugs, and now instead of clicking on the KEGG source, we're clicking to have the actual report analysis page for the mTOR signaling pathway. And now we are actually building that particular dashboard with diagrams and tables showcasing of how successful we are today in targeting the mTOR signaling pathway in cancer. Now we have 245 drugs. In total it's 124 companies, and these 245 drugs are involved in 121 different kinds of indications, and in total they are targeting 22 different kinds of targets. Now on the second level here you have a breakdown of the drug status these drugs are in, and 71% are active, another 21% are ceased, 7.3% are with no development reported. Looking from a developmental stage, you find most drugs in phase 2 clinical development, followed by phase 1, preclinical, phase 3, etc. Indication breakdown of these 245 drugs shows you that most of them are right now in unspecified indications, meaning that they are in preclinical development. This is followed by solid tumors, then followed by colorectal cancer, breast cancer. As you can see, this table goes into very fine detail. This diagram goes into very fine detail. You can actually just go up here to have a complete view of which cancer indication are involved and how many drugs you would find for that particular cancer indication in this table. Now we close this table again and we go back to where we were, and we can see furthermore a breakdown of the targets which is involved in the mTOR signaling pathway from those targets which is most frequently occurring to those who are in less frequency. Now most of the highest targeted players in the mTOR signaling pathway is PI3 kinase, followed by AKT1, then by mTOR, then by VEGF-A, etc. Now again, you can find out the detail of these particular targets by going back in that table I just showed you. Now, This is followed with a geographical display of where in the world you will find the originator companies of these particular drugs, and by simply just hovering over the countries you see how many investigator companies you have in each country. In the bottom, you have the actual drug results presented of these drugs included. In this case, for the mTOR signaling pathway, we have 245 drugs in this initial research result table being presented with drug name, investigator, country, partners, targets, developmental projects, and drug status. Now, if you look at targets, you see that some of the targets are highlighted in yellow, and that is because it is these targets which is actually involved in the mTOR signaling pathway. Remember that a drug can have more than one drug target, and not all of the drug targets are necessarily involved in the particular pathway you are looking at. Now, you can generate a report of these found drugs by either simply just pressing this button here, and then you will have a report of all found drugs, or if you just want to go into any specific kind of drugs in the found table, you simply press on the drug name. You can collapse this particular result table by typing in any kind of keyword present inside the table. For example, typing in Novartis will collapse the whole table into only containing drugs which Novartis is involved in. Thank you for watching.